Problem 2 is perform the indicated operations. Write the resulting polynomial in standard form. So there are a couple things here. First off, I have a monomial, or what I would call a coefficient, out in front of a polynomial. Whenever you see a number next to a parenthesis like this, it means you multiply. You're going to multiply this 3 times those 3 terms within that polynomial. So 3 times 3x squared. 3 times 3 is 9. And the x squared comes along. So the answer for multiplying 3 times 3x squared is 9x squared. That's what I was looking for. This was also in pre-chapter or pre-section 1, section 3. Now, I'm going to put the minus sign down because that's what split this term up from that one, and the plus sign split those 2 terms up. So now it's going to be 3 times negative 2x. So a positive times a negative is going to make that negative. 3 times 2 is 6, and the x is still included because that's hooked together by multiplication. And then you have 3 times 2. They're both positive. 3 times 2 is 6. That part is finished. If I look at this, there's a tricky way to do this. And this is all based on Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 concepts or ideas. I'm going to take this negative 2 and multiply it times all 3 terms. So what I'm going to end up with is this. Negative 2 times 5x squared. Negative times a positive is going to make a negative. 2 times 5 is 10. The x squared comes along. Negative 2 times negative x. That's negative 1x. Don't forget, there's a 1 in front of that as far as the coefficient is concerned. Negative times negative is going to make a positive. That's a sign change that you learned about before even Algebra 1. 2 times 1x is going to make 2x. So negative 2 times negative x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times positive 4 is going to make a negative. Negative 2 times positive 4 is an 8, negative 8. What I'm going to do next is the next. So we actually put 2 things in this one problem. This also comes from section 3. Okay? So what you're going to do now is something that I had you write down in notes, and that's combine like terms. So 9x to the second is the same as negative 10x to the second. Those are like terms because the variable is to the same power. So now you're dealing with adding integers. Positive 9, that's a positive 9, and a negative 10 is going to make a negative 1x squared. Now I don't put the 1 with it, but if you want to, you can put a negative 1x there if you want. It will still be the correct answer. Now I'm going to combine this term, the negative 6, with the positive 2x. Negative 6x and positive 2x. I'm going to put a double underline under those 2, so I'll make sure that those 2 are the 2 like terms. Negative 6x and a positive 2x is going to make a negative, don't forget that, 4x. The signs are different. You subtract and keep the one that you have more of. And finally, I'm going to circle the constants with their sign. That's going to be a positive 6 and a negative 8. I'm going to combine those 2. Those are integers I'm combining. And this should be your final answer. Negative x squared minus 4x minus 2. That comes from section 3.